Welcome to the Flex Rental Solutions how-to webinar. Today we're going to be going over different bill-to configurations in this system. The reason we have put together this webinar is everyone has different ways that they would like to configure their system and use it and display different information. We have many customers who basically the person who rents it is the person who they always bill, and then they have a venue where that event will take place. Sometimes those are the same. We have other customers, scenario 2, that might say we have one customer and an employee in a company that is the client for the job. There may be someone else in the company that is getting the invoice for that customer, and then they have a venue. The third scenario that we're going to go over happens a lot for customers who work in different hotels or on different large productions where you may have a client, a completely separate bill-to contact, and a completely separate venue. And so we're going to go over all three of these scenarios in this webinar. The first scenario is the easiest one, where we have two contacts. There is the client and there is the venue. And those two are configured by going to Projects, Project Elements, and if we go to our quote element, there's a contact association. Right now we've just turned on the client field and the venue field. Those are the only two contact fields that we've enabled. And that is the way your system comes configured by default. Very easy, simple to use, and pretty straightforward. The second scenario is if you have a second contact at a company that the bills or the invoices go to. So we have an example here. This is a venue called Energy Solutions Arena. This company, right now, we've configured them to have two employees. The first employee that we put in there was Barb, and this is her address right here. The second contact that we added was a contact that we gave a first name accounts, last name payable, and we put this default bill-to contact as yes. And so what the system will check when we generate invoices, and there's a configuration that will show, is if we are to generate an invoice, do we want to use the default bill-to contact? So that workflow is under Projects, Workflow Jobs. We have an old generate invoice that we call deprecated, that we don't use anymore, that we've updated probably about 6 months ago to add new functionality. So the new workflow to generate invoice is just simply called Invoice Generator. There's a setting there called Set Client to Bill-to Contact. And by default, this is set to yes. So to show you this example, we created this test quote, and the client was Barb, and the venue was Energy Solutions Arena. Two separate contacts. We went through the workflow of confirmed it, flagged it as ready to invoice, and generated the invoice. When the generation process took place, what it did automatically was it swapped out the accounts payable account or contact into the client field automatically. So the invoice is now going to go to accounts payable. If we were to email it, it's going to ap@energysolutionsarena.com, and that's the venue. So that's the second scenario where we can automatically swap out a contact for the original contact during the invoicing process. So that happens quite a bit. If you've got a very specific accounting person at a company that gets the invoices, not the person who ordered it, that's the way that is configured by default. So the third and final setting is what happens if you would like to have these three settings completely separate from themselves. So the way we would configure this is by going to Projects, Project Elements, and opening up our quotes. There's a Contact Association tab, and we can say, I want to enable a completely separate bill to contact type. So we'll select that and hit yes. These fields right here can be set to required. That is an optional setting. By default, they are set to no. We could give it a caption and call it bill to. If there is a parent element, such as an event folder, that has the bill to field set and you want to automatically inherit that, you would set that to yes. If you would like the ability to override that, you could set that to yes also. So now, if we were to start a new quote, you will see there is a separate client field, bill to field, and venue field. Let me just show you. Let's go back to this test quote. We'll hit Edit Header, and you'll see that there is a new bill to field there. As the display goes, we have only put in the document header only 2 fields to display. So if we would like to be able to view all 3 fields, we would return back to Project Elements, Quotes, and this time we're going to go to the document header area. What you'll see right here is there are many ways we can configure the document header area. Right now, there's a left address caption filled in and configured, and a right address caption configured. That relates back to the client on the left, the venue on the right. If we would like to have a center caption, we could fill that in, call that bill to. And we want this area to map to the bill to address. We want it to match or inherit the parent possibility. We'll use that for invoicing. You could do specific things to say, in the address area, I may not want to put in the phone number or the email. So you could say, I would like the address, I would like the email, and I'd like the office phone only. Or if you leave those all blank, all the information that is associated with that customer will be printed out. That's just ways that you can filter out what information gets displayed in that header block area. So we'll hit Save Changes. So now, if we go to New and Quote, we'll put down our client. This bill to could be anyone that we want. We could search for just Energy Solutions if we want and say, oh, we want it to go to accounts payable. And again, these can all be completely configured however you want. This may be 2 completely different companies. I'm just keeping it simple. So now we have configured this area to have 3 separate headers. There's the client that was similar to what it was on the left-hand side. There's the venue that was the exact same on the right-hand side. We have entered in a new bill to contact. Other options that we have in that configuration is we could say, well, I don't want all 3 on one level. I'm going to put on the bottom left the bill to, and on the bottom right I'm going to call this one notes, and I believe we have the ability to just have it be what we call free text. So now if we go back to this one and let's refresh, we now have a 2x2 matrix here. And so we can configure this however we want. So we have customers who use 6 fields. We have customers who use 3. It is all very configurable. So let's go back to the way it was just to keep it simplified. Then the question becomes, how do we want our invoices to look? Should our invoicing have the same fields? Or is our invoicing only need the bill to? Again, that is a secondary configuration. So if we wanted to change the invoicing to reflect this also, it's very easy to do that. We would do the exact same functionality: projects, project elements, invoices. We won't go through the whole configuration. We'll just remind you, you would want to go into contact association, enable the bill to information similar to how we did with the quotes. Go to the document header and configure the center address, again similar as we did in the quotes. And so now your system will flow through. Other way I've seen certain customers configure their system is they may have 2 different quoting systems. There are very many customers who run production companies out of their main office and then might have 1 or 2 on-site facilities at hotels. Sometimes they like to keep their quotes set up in a 2-way system for their productions, and for their hotel sites they might have 3 contact configurations. So for those customers, we've done some configuration work with them and some consulting and created 2 different quote systems, one for rental quotes and one for hotel quotes as an example. And so that way, for their productions, very simplified. Day-to-day rentals go out this way. For their work that they do at hotels, they set it up this way. Again, it's very easy for us to configure these systems, and a lot of it is knowing what are the problems that we're trying to solve, what are the tools we have to solve them with, and what's going to be the best solution to solve those problems. If you have any questions regarding this bill to configuration, you can contact support@flexrentalsolutions.com. Thanks.